Surely you've watched and had a great time watching Minions and the films of Gru and his family. But did you notice that some scenes and jokes in the movies were made for more adult moments? For example, when Gru meets Drew, initially he is very happy, at least until the moment when the twin brother takes off his hat and shows off his beautiful long blonde hair. We can immediately notice that Gru's expression changes completely. This is what we all know as envy, because male baldness is considered one of the biggest causes of concern and sadness among men. Surely Gru thought that Drew would have had a head as smooth and clean as his own, so his surprise initially made him a little jealous of his brother. Thankfully, he got over it, and they became very good friends afterwards. This is definitely one of the adult moments in the Minions and Despicable Me movies, and we have several other adult moments to show you now, and I'll tell you up front that some of them are quite heavy. CPR. When Gru exits the villain life, we can see that in the second movie he enters the fruit jelly business. And in this scene, most people didn't even notice, but something very funny and adult happens in the background. We can see the Minions using mallets to crush the fruits to make jelly. But if you look in the background of the scene, you'll see two Minions getting into a fight and starting to hit each other on the head with the mallets. However, it seems like one of them ends up overdoing it and hits too hard, causing the other to faint. And he panics and starts doing CPR and mouth-to-mouth on the other Minion to try to revive his friend, which seems to work. And he's so happy that when the fainted Minion wakes up, his friend showers him with kisses. This was probably a scene that only adults noticed. Thong. When the Minions start enjoying the good things about being in the royal family of England, they realize how good it is to be rich. And Stuart then comes across the place where the bathroom is located. But it's not just any bathroom, but a gigantic place that even has a huge bathtub, and it seems like he was prepared for it. The detail is that he chose to wear a rather strange swimsuit in the bathtub, because it's practically a thong style, one that is not very common to be worn. This was definitely a moment that many adults laughed at when they were watching the movie, because only adults wear this type of beach or bathing suit. Hot tub party. We all remember when Stuart met his first yellow fire hydrant. That's definitely something he'll never forget either. The fact is that in this scene it becomes clear to him that because the fire hydrant looks like someone of his species, he starts hitting on the fire hydrant. Everything's fine up to this point. The adult moment happens exactly when he's in the bathtub inside the palace, and suddenly two fire hydrants appear next to him, as if they were two girls. This is a clear reference to the rich people who love to throw parties in huge bathtubs and pools, and are always accompanied by beautiful girls, one on each side, just like Stuart does with the two fire hydrants. We caught that reference, Illumination. Did you catch this reference too? Subscribe to our channel to receive our next videos where we talk about amazing animations and movies every day. Playboy Magnate. It seems like Stuart embraced so much of this rich guy's spirit surrounded by girls that even after they left the luxurious life in the palace of the British royalty, he still remained with the magnate spirit. The proof of this is that when the three Minions go to sleep in Gru's room and the little boss lets Bob go to his bed, the other Minions also go right after. Stuart himself is wearing a burgundy robe. This is a clear reference to Hugh Hefner, the famous entrepreneur who owned the Playboy Mansion. Playboy was an adult magazine founded in the 1950s. And yes, we're talking about that old magazine with provocative photos of girls that had monthly editions. Hugh Hefner was so rich that he had a mansion where the Playboy bunnies lived, who were several models known as the faces of the magazine. So adults noticed that Stuart still felt like he was in the hydrant's mansion, which were his bunnies. Needy glance. Remember the beach scene in Despicable Me 2, where all the Minions are enjoying cheerful and fun moments by the sea? We noticed another quite unusual moment in it that can also be considered adult. We can see one of the Minions in a maid outfit, but only the most attentive eyes notice that behind her are Kevin and another Minion. And Kevin is sliding his finger on the ground as if he's bored. But then he looks at the other Minion with a look that says, "I have an idea." This glance can be interpreted in several different ways, if you catch my drift. Hidden banana. Everyone knows that Minions love bananas, maybe a bit too much. And another moment that only those with a more mischievous mind noticed happens when another Minion is floating on a buoy, and out of nowhere, he pulls out a banana, as if it were lying between him and the buoy. The detail is that the type of buoy he's using has its middle empty. So the question is, was the banana hidden in some back pocket of the Minion? This was definitely a pretty dirty and subliminal joke from the movie that few adults noticed. Butt tattoo. When the Minions are in prison, they completely dominate the place, becoming the most feared there. And there's a kind of unwritten law that everyone in prison needs to have at least one tattoo to show they're tough, so the Minions line up to get tattooed. However, at this moment, one of the Minions simply pulls down his pants so that his tattoo can be done on his butt. Adults notice the irony because even though it's a tattoo, if it's on the butt, it won't be at all in the style of a prisoner's tattoos. Groping. When the Minions are at the Hawaiian party, they are surprised, and one of them takes the opportunity to try to make a move on another Minion. This is because one of them is wearing a kind of coconut bra, and suddenly one of the bras falls off. The detail is that they don't have breasts, but it was still very funny on them. And at this moment, we see one of the Minions trying to unexpectedly put his hand where the breasts of the other Minion would be and gets a slap as a reprimand. This was definitely a reference to those who try to make inappropriate moves by surprise. Now, that's a grope. And if you've made it this far, you definitely enjoyed Despicable Me just like us. And today, we're going to honor the Minion who's almost the leader of the group of yellow beings. Comment down below, #Kevin, if you also like the Minions and find them super funny and entertaining. Biting where you shouldn't. Returning to the scene of Gru and Lucy's wedding, there's a very hidden scene that only adults noticed is somewhat heavy. At a certain moment while the party is going on, we see that Gru's former suitor is present. And right behind them are some Minions. If you focus only on them, you'll notice that two of them are exchanging looks and talking about the lady. And one of them looks at her butt and then opens his mouth and sticks out his tongue, as if he wanted to bite the lady's butt. I don't even need to say what that Minion was thinking at that moment, do I? This is definitely a very adult hidden scene from the movie. Boy bands! At the end of Despicable Me 2, we see Gru and Lucy's wedding scene. And to introduce it, we see a group of 4 Minions doing a very passionate musical interpretation. You might not have understood this the first time you saw it, but this is a clear reference to boy bands and boy musical groups that dominated the world of pop music in the 90s, long before the existence of BTS. This is clear from the very similar clothing style to what the members wore in music videos, like this one from the Backstreet Boys, not to mention the Minions' performance trying to imitate that of the 90s singers. This, for sure, many parents will remember with great fondness. YMCA! And for those who are even older, there's another musical reference at the party that's even older, making many people remember the 70s and 80s. This is because the song the Minion DJ plays at the end of the party is the song YMCA by the Village People group that was a huge hit in 1978. The group was well known for wearing extravagant clothes in their music videos, just like the Minions do, using characteristics of the group members while their song plays. This was a reference that only older people will really remember. Groping 2. Going back to when Gru and Drew meet for the first time, we can see that they are completely opposite, as Drew is hairy while Gru is bald. But besides that, we see that Drew is a very cheerful person, while Gru is more reserved. At this moment, Drew starts introducing himself to all the family members, and he starts with Lucy, Gru's wife. And he grabs her by the arms and holds Lucy's ankle, something most people didn't notice, but Gru definitely did, as he was looking directly at his brother's hands on his wife's ankles. This was definitely the moment when Gru must have felt jealous of his brother, and adults know very well what that's like. But then they got along very well and everything worked out. Those were the 13 moments that only adults noticed in the Minions movies and the Despicable Me franchise. And surely, seeing all of them was really cool. Practically everyone loves watching the Minions and Gru, and since we know you also enjoy seeing cool stuff, we've selected these 2 videos for you to keep having fun here with us. Just pick one of them, click, and continue watching some really cool videos.